wherever you I'm Jeff Anderson. I head up Automation Cloud Marketing at UiPath. And if I can just get this thing off my screen. So just agenda for today. First of all, you're stuck with a few minutes from me. There's a little bit of slideware. I promise you this is most of the slideware you'll see. After this, bunch of actual use cases, demos, live stuff. So we're going to talk just to level set about Automation Cloud Robots 101. What are they? Then we're going to do a little sort of summary on robot units, which is the currency we use to buy Automation Cloud robots. And then demos and what's coming next, a bit of roadmap, and finally Q&A. As I said, you're welcome to ask questions at any time, of course, but we will have a Q&A time at the end. First point I always like to make is, although this is a session about Automation Cloud robots, important to know that Automation Cloud can manage any robots. So whether you're running them in a public cloud, whether you're self-managing them, whether you've got them on premises, Automation Cloud can manage all of those. But the easiest way to actually get robot capacity with UiPath Automation Cloud is Automation Cloud robots, hence the topic for today. So with that kind of disclaimer, let's look at the two flavors of Automation Cloud robots that are available. And again, if you know this, I apologize, it won't take us a long time, but it's just in case there's a few people on the call who haven't really explored Automation Cloud robots, let's just go through quickly the basics. So the first of the two types of Automation Cloud robot is called the VM Automation Cloud robot. And essentially with a VM Automation Cloud robot, UiPath takes care of everything, the infrastructure and the robot. So of course, you don't need your own Azure, you don't need your own AWS subscription. They're fully certified, which is pretty important, SOC 2 Type 2, and also HIPAA Type 2 attestations. The really key piece comes further down there, very highly customizable and scalable. You can think of the VM Automation Cloud robot as essentially a SaaS replacement for your unattended on-prem or self-hosted robots. So essentially in just about any workload that you would use an unattended robot that you were running yourself, a VM cloud robot could be an alternative. You don't have to you don't have the hassle of machine management. Sorry, it's early in the morning here in Bellevue, Washington. You can get several different sizes and policies, and they're available at different prices. I'll show you that shortly. You can get custom image support, which means that the VM can be configured with the apps that you need for the robot to run and to do the automating that you want. So that's a critical piece. VM Automation Cloud robots are customizable in that sense. They're configurable. They support custom images. They support installation of either Windows Server apps or Windows Desktop apps. So they're very flexible like that. You can also do additional software installation, domain join to a network, and site-to-site VPN connections. So if you need to reach back into your own network, then we have a VPN Gateway that enables you to reach into your own network and for the robot to do the processing from the cloud, but integrating with systems that you already have. And then new feature actually just came out, live streaming and job recordings for all automation. So you can go into an Automation Cloud robot and you can actually watch what it's doing with the right permissions, obviously. And you can also get job recording if there's a failure. It will replay the last thing that happened before it failed. So very handy for debugging. And of course, it's all managed from Orchestrator in the Automation Cloud, and it doesn't require IT resources to manage Orchestrator or robot. Obviously, we encourage a great relationship with IT. It turns out that to do a lot of automations, you're going to need that. But nonetheless, it's ultimately something that IT doesn't have to prioritize. They can just agree and you can go ahead, and they don't really have to put any work into it at all, which is super helpful for busy IT departments. Serverless Automation Cloud robots, a little bit different. Let's go on. Serverless Automation Cloud robots, a little bit different. Again, we take care of everything. They're designed to run cross-platform automations. And the fundamental difference between a serverless automation cloud robot and a VM automation cloud robot is that the serverless robot doesn't run an image. It's part of a pool of robots, and you use it on demand. And so you just send jobs to the serverless cloud robot pool, and they get executed by whatever robot is available. And therefore, unlike VMs, it's charged by execution time and robot size. So literally charged just for time that you're using. Again, you can do site-to-site VPN connection. You can run up to 50 jobs in parallel. It does the same live streaming. So fundamental difference, if you want to configure your own automation cloud robot environment, probably going to be VM. If you just want something you can send jobs to and they're API or web browser-based jobs, you can do that with serverless automation cloud robots. So basically, why would you go for automation cloud robots? Hopefully it's come out already. Low infra setup means you can faster time to value, lower time to value. Cloud first, you can scale up as much as you want, and you can do it effectively instantly. No infrastructure to set up. Lightweight SaaS, low operating cost, no maintenance, no updates. The robot is automatically added by us and updated, and the entire infrastructure is managed by us. And of course, they're enterprise ready in the sense of they have the certifications and attestations for security, and we have that site-to-site capability to VM back into your network. So let's talk quickly about robot units, and then we can get on to actually seeing some of this. So automation cloud robots are licensed with robot units. Robot unit bundles are bought in 72,000 annual commitments. Sounds like a lot, but you'll see that it works out to be essentially a standard machine for a year is the way to think about it. So when you can buy VM and serverless automation cloud robots, excuse that typo, I'll get that fixed, and each bundle gets you 6,000 robot units to use each month. So this is important, right? When you buy a year bundle of robot units, you're actually buying 6,000 units a month, and they are use it or lose it in that sense. And so they can be consumed across multiple machine sizes, customization options. I'll show you that in a second. VM automation cloud robots, as I said, consume robot units per month. Serverless automation cloud robots consume them for usage. You use the same robot units, whichever of those two models you want, or you can combine them. So you'll see that if you were to buy a small VM automation cloud robot, it would cost you 5,000 robot units. And that would leave you 1,000 robot units to do serverless jobs with, just as one example. In fact, if we explicate this a little more, you see that a standard robot unit bundle of 72,000 comes out to $14,400 a year. And here in this, I won't take you through all of these, obviously, but you see that there are basically a couple of things to note. First, there are 4 sizes of robot: small, standard, medium, and large. You can get them for production, or you can get them for test. Test, as you can see, is significantly cheaper, of course, but not to be used for production use. And ditto in serverless. So essentially, you can choose the size of machine you want, and it's easy, and we charge slightly more for larger machines. You can also get some additional profile options, and rather than talking about this, I think I'll show it to you. But before I do, just one final slide. If I compare robot options and costs, essentially, when you think about an unattended robot, it's a little cheaper, of course, $10,000 a year, but you have a bunch of costs associated with it: infrastructure, support. We saw it all in the poll. All the things you said in the poll might be a reason to move to automation cloud robots are probably in this list, right? Support, agility, availability, self-hosted apps, and security. You don't have to manage really any of that. It's just included. We have a 99.9% uptime guarantee. and Automation Cloud Robots simplify that. So with that, I think we get to demo. We do. Let me jump in here. So how do I get started? I just want to very quickly, Manoj is going to talk about a lot of this, but I want to just show you very quickly how the robot units play out here. So first of all, when you get Automation tenant and you want to apply your Automation Cloud Robot units to it, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go in and check how many robot units you have, and you'll see that on this tenant I've allocated 0 of 58, which is not enough. I'm going to need more. So if I go back in here and I go to services, I can go to my orchestrator tenant on the tenants that I want to apply them to. I can go to licensing. And here I see all of the robot units that are available across the organization. And just like any other service that I'm going to use, I want to apply them to the particular tenant. So I'm going to apply 15,000 robot units to this tenant. Save that. And now if I go into orchestrator for my new tenant, I should see in that same licensing view that I have those 15,000 available. Oh, sorry. As I said, early in the morning in Bellevue. In the tenant, I have 15,000 available of 58K. All right, so how do I use them? Well, as I say, Manoj is going to go through most of this, but if I go into orchestrator, it's as easy as saying, I want to create a new machine. I want to add something, and you see that I have the option for a VM robot or a serverless robot, among the others. I'm just going to go with VM. I'm going to give it a really imaginative name, Jeff VM robot. And the one thing I want to show you before I hand off is this is where you get to choose all your options, right? And down here is a summary of the cost. So as you're building your robot, you're able to actually see, as you're building your robot, you're able to see what it's going to cost. So for example, for a production machine, I've got those sizes we talked about. Because I'm feeling greedy this morning, let me take a large machine. And you see that that comes out at 10,000 a month. So that will be the total. By the way, if I did test, you would see that those were cheaper. So the large machine for test comes out to 9,000. I'm going to go back to production. Standard, I can add a customized image. Here is the machine availability profile. That means that if I want my machine to be always on, that will cost me an extra 1,000 robot units a month, 500 for fast startup. But here's the thing I really want to show you. There's an option to add additional run times. And this is me saving you money right here. So if you add an additional runtime to an existing robot, it's always charged at the price of standard, which means if I say I'm going to have 2 runtimes, I've now run out of robot units, but the first runtime was going to be 11,000 because of this profile, but the additional runtime is 5,000 a month. So one way to be efficient with Automation Cloud Robots is to, where possible, use additional runtimes because you can get those additional runtimes a little bit cheaper if that suits your workload. Alternatively, you can just create multiple Automation Cloud Robots of different sizes as meets your needs. So that's the option. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Manoj. Let me stop sharing my screen here. And he'll talk rather more about actually configuring these robots beyond just the licensing pieces. Thanks, Manoj.
Thank you, Jeff. You made my part very easy by giving such a beautiful explanation on the Automation Cloud Robots. So let me just first share my screen with you. I hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes. Yes, we can
Yes,
see.
no?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking the time out to join this call today from all over the world. My name is Manoj Batra. I'm currently working with one of the largest bank in the UK. I'm also a three times UiPath MVP. And in the next 15 minutes or so, we'll be talking about how you can actually configure both serverless and your cloud VM on Orchestrator. So as Jeff mentioned, I have already got some robot units allocated to my tenant. So I'll go ahead and I'll go to Orchestrator, and it's a bit slow at the moment. Yep. So I'll go to tenant here, and under tenants, you can see a machines option. In the machine option, first we'll see how you can create a cloud VM. So I'll select this cloud robot VM. I'll give it a name, test VM, and I'll leave description as blank. Here you can see we have got two types of machine management details. One is automatic and the other one is manual. So for automatic, UiPath will take care of everything. But if you go with manual, you can create a VM, you can delete that, and the changes that you made will be persistent. But here in the case of automatic, it will not. So I'll go ahead and select manual and click on next. There we go. And again, in the pool environment, I have got two types of environment. One is your production, and then we have got your test. And based on these selections, you will get different types of VM sizes, and you will basically charge on the different robot unit as well. So if I select production here, you can see for a small machine, it will cost you 5,000 RU per month. For standard, it is 6,000, and it goes on medium 7,500, and for large, it is 10K. Similarly, for the test, the same VM will cost you 2,000, then we have got 3,000. So for the demo purpose, I'll pick this production one and select the standard machine with 4 CPU. Next, we have the machine image section. So here UiPath provides you two different type of machine. One is your Windows Server and the other one is Windows Desktop. Again, in Windows Server, we have got Windows Server 2000, I guess 19, yes, with all the supported browsers. So on this machine, UiPath and the UiPath extension will be installed on all the browsers, all the supported browsers. And if I go to Windows Desktop, I guess there would be an option to select Windows 10 2022 Pro. And again, UiPath will be installed there. So I'll go ahead and select the Windows Server. And in case if you want to have your, again, customized image for any particular Windows, Avnita will show you how you can actually save that within this environment only in her demo. So yeah, you can also select the customize option here and just select the image name. I guess at the moment, yeah, there is no image. So I'll go ahead and select the standard one. Let me just select the Windows Server 2019. And next we have IP address. So if your automation depends on certain type of a static IP thing, or you have created some kind of a browser thing where your IP would remain static, then go ahead with static. And by default, the option is dynamic, which means every time your machine restarts, the IP will be changed. But in the case of static, as the name goes, it will remain static. Next, I guess this would be the most important option here that belongs to the machine availability profile. As you can see here, we have got 3 different types of profile. One is your balanced, then we have got fast and always. So if you select the balanced profile, that means if your machine goes into idle state for around, I guess 30 minutes, then your VM will be shut down automatically. For fast, it is 60 minutes, but if you choose always, your machine will not be shut down automatically. You need to do it manually. But there's a catch here. If you choose fast or always, as you can see on the right, you have to pay extra for that, extra RU for that. For fast, it is 500 RU per VM, and for always it is 1000 RU. So yeah, you can see here the total cost is 7000 RU per month for this VM, and I have selected the profile as always. But if I change it to fast, it will be changed to 6500 RU per month, and for balance it would be just 6K. Similarly, the next option we have this ACR per machine. That means number of jobs that can be run at the same time on this pool. So if I select 2, so you can also see the number of the cost here would get changed. So you can see here the cost would be 11,000. So for the demo purpose, again, let's select it 1 and click on next. Next, you have got 2 options available here in the pool configuration. One is your enable maintenance window and the other one is VPN integration. So I can just cover the maintenance part here, and Anvita can take care of the VPN integration. So in the enable maintenance window, let's suppose if you have got any kind of a patch update or any kind of a build update, or you need to install any kind of a customized software on your machine, then you can select the window here. Like you can select a time zone, or you can select whether it would be just one-time maintenance or a weekly, monthly, or yearly maintenance. And one more thing to notice here. So if your automation, so during this period, your bot or your orchestrator will not trigger any process on this bot machine. But if any process is running on your machine and this checkbox is not checked, so this will actually skip your maintenance window for that particular time only. But if you select this option like kill running processes when the windows begins, so it will automatically kill the process and will start the maintenance window. But if you don't want to kill the process, just leave it blank. So here I'll just disable it for now and click on finish. I just need to see what was the name of my machine. Let me just check. It was test VM. So yeah, my window test VM has already been created now. Let me now search for the test VM here. As you can see here, it is appearing now. Now I'll go to add or manage VM and will add an account there. So before I add any account there, you can see here all the options like the pool type, the environment, what is the robot unit. So we haven't created any VM yet, account yet. So that is why it is showing as 0. The IP is dynamic and the profile is balanced. Next, I'll go ahead and create one account here. I'll give it as test account. Username, the password is 321. I guess I typed the password incorrectly. Let me just type it again. Yep. So let me now provision it. Yes, I'll go ahead and create that. Now, if you see here, I have been deducted 6000 RU from my account, and currently the machine status is provisioning. So here there are a few more tabs here. Except job is disabled, and you can also do a RDP here. So this provisioning might take 2 to 3 minutes or sometimes 5-6 minutes, depending on the availability. So just to save the time, I've already created a VM for you. Let me just switch to another tab. So if you see here, once your account gets provisioned, the status would be provisioning, and after that you need to go to this option and click on enable jobs, so that now your machine can accept the jobs. The next thing, because this is a manual setup, so we need to enable the remote desktop here if you basically need to install any kind of a software there. So in order to enable the remote desktop connection, you will click on this link and the enable option would appear here. At the moment it is enabled, so that is why this disable remote desktop option is appearing. Similarly, if you forgot your password or the account details, you can reset your admin account details anytime. Let me just switch to another tab to see if it is provisioned. No, it is not. Let me just do a refresh. No, it is still in provision state. So this is the first step in the VM setup. Next, I'm going to add this machine to my folder. So I'll go to tenant again. I'll go to folders. And again, to save the time here, we have already created a test robot for you. So if I show you the configuration here, so the role that I've assigned to this thing is robot. And in the unattended setup, there are two options for the foreground automation settings. First is you can use the VM configured credentials, pre-configured credentials, or if you want to provide a user ID or password details, means credentials, you can pass it here as well. Again, I'll select the default option here, robot settings. If you want to change that, you can do that. This is normal stuff. And then click on update here. Next thing, I need to add my machine here. So I'll go to shared folder again, machines, and we'll add the machine here. Let me just change the page size to 50. So test VM, update. As you can now see here, it has now been assigned to this folder. Now, I'm going to run a process, but before I run a process on this VM, let me just tell you some of the settings that you need to do in order to see the live streaming or take the remote control. So let me just go to the folder now and the processes. So to view the live streaming or to take the remote connections on the live streaming, what you need to do is, so once you upload the package and after creating a package, you will create a process, and there are few settings that you need to enable it on your package. So let me just show you what are the things that you need to be clicked. So first thing is job recording. So if you want to see the job recording, so just enable this option, and under that we have got two different options, like record and store only failed jobs, means it will only record the faulted jobs. But if you want to record all the jobs, then just go ahead and click on record all jobs. Next option we have is allow live streaming. So this needs to be enabled in order to stream your automation. And again, if you want to remote control it, just select this enabled option. I'll select the disabled option. So I've already configured this thing for you. Let me just cancel it and see if that has already been provisioned or not. No, it is still in provisioning state. Next thing is I'm just going to run this process on the VM that I have. So let me just run it now. Demo cloud VM. This is the process name. Runtime here, the runtime should be cloud VM. Either you can use your test robot account here. It will take the default credentials. And here the machine name would be test VM2_m, which I created earlier. Let me just start it. So what this automation does is it will just go to this website, Bank of England website, and will fetch all the currency rate and will just show you in a message box. So my process has now been started. Now let me just go here and click on live stream. You can see here my automation has started. If I want to take a remote control, I can just click here and do these things very easily. I can also click on this alert boxes as well, like this. So this is how you can view the live stream of your project. And if your automation gets stuck, or any kind of a human intervention is required, so you can take a remote control and just click on the unnecessary pop-up or whatever the thing is there on your system. You can just do that. Now let me just go back to orchestrator again. You can see my process is running and it is also printing the logs as well. You see, all the logs are printed here. So once the job gets completed, you can also view the recording as well. If the record all option was available, we selected that. So you can also do that. This automation is running. I'll click on exit remote control. So this is how you can set up your VM and run the process and take the remote control. So you don't have to worry about any infrastructure thing, nothing. You just do your stuff and UiPath will take care of everything. So this was part 1. And in the part 2, I'll be showing you how you can create a serverless robot. Again, to create a serverless robot, system. Yep. Again, to create a serverless robot, I'll go to tenant here. We'll go to machines. And I'll select the last option here, Cloud Robot Serverless. Earlier, I picked Cloud Robot VM. Now I'll select Cloud Robot Serverless. Again, it will ask for the template name, test template. If you want to put any kind of a description, you can put that. And at the moment, it is just supporting the cross-platform jobs. And these are the RU units that will be consumed. So here, RU will be deducted based on the number of minutes you run a process. So for production process and on a small machine, the RU that is going to be deducted from your account is 1, whereas for testing it would be 0.5. And you can see all those numbers here. And I'll just go ahead and click on provision. So let me just see if the robot is there or not. Yes, test template is there. Now the next thing I'll do here is the same thing. I'll add this serverless robot to my folder. I'll go to folder here and click on shared. Robot is already there. I click on machines. Now, if you see here, this folder has already got a serverless 2 robot, which is a serverless robot, right? So if I try to add the one that I have created, it will not allow me to add it. Let me just show it. As you can see here, it is this checkbox is disabled. Why? Because at present, you can have only one serverless template associated to a particular folder. So I'll just uncheck this and select this one. I'll click update. Serverless template is added now. Again, I'll go ahead and run a process there on this machine. I'll go to shared folder. And if you see here, I have got a serverless 1 process. Again, there are few settings that you need to do before creating a process. So these are the settings, like, let me just go to the additional settings. So job recording, allow live streaming. And the last option is, how do you want UiPath to run your process? In which size? So if you choose the automatic, I guess this is the preferred option. So UiPath will basically assign the robot based on the dependency that is there in the process. Else you can go ahead and choose from these given values. I'll click cancel. And the other thing is, we can run 50 processes parallelly on the serverless bot machine. So let me just go ahead and change the number. So I want 10 processes to be executed at a time. And I'll select the test robot. And here the template would be serverless template that I just created. I'll click on start here. You can see all the processes now are running. So here on the serverless, you can basically run processes that are mostly run on, like you create a process using UiPath Studio Web, which interacts with API, some database in the backend, or some kind of a web automation. So serverless would be the preferred option. However, if you want to go do some kind of a IT automation or some other type of automation, then I would prefer you to use cloud VMs. So the process running, which this will allow you to open the live stream, the same thing that you can do with your cloud VM, you can do here as well. Let me just see if the robot has been provisioned or not. Yep, it is provisioned now. So I'll come back to this later. So all the processes are running here. And yes, you can see all the processes have been completed. Now, again, if you run it more than 50 times, like you set the number to 55 or 60, so the first 50 process will run and the 10 will go into the pending state. So once the 50 gets completed, the first 10 gets completed, it will pick the another 10. And if I go back to, so this is about your serverless VM. And if I go back to the cloud VM again, so you can see the machine status is running. And in order to accept any jobs, so first you need to go to this option and click on enable jobs. So it will basically accept the jobs for you. And the last option that I mentioned earlier as well, to enable the remote desktop connection, just select that. This will actually help you to install any kind of a exe or any kind of application that your automation requires. So you can also do that. So I guess this brings to the end of my demo. And now I'll hand it over to Amrita, and she will be sharing more views on how you can actually set up your VPN configuration, how you can create an image. Yeah, thank you.
Let's do it.
Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manoj. This was amazing. The best part is when we see some of our MVPs and heavy users using the product. I think that's the best testimony of taking over and showing the demos yourself. So thank you so much, Manoj. We have a few minutes left, and I'm going to run through. As Manoj said, there will be a couple of things I would love to demo to you guys today. Some additional customizations that you can build on top of your ACR VM. The first one I'm going to show you is setting up VPN Gateway, which is offered both for serverless as well as Cloud Robot virtual machines. As you can see, I'm in my staging environment within my admin section. If I navigate to the particular tenant, I need my VPN gateway in. You can see that there is an additional tile called gateway, which gives you a way to set up your VPN. And at this point, as a part of our demo, you can see I've already created a gateway. I can navigate to the next tenant and show you that I've created a gateway there as well. So the gateways are created. All you need to do is simply when you're wanting to add yourself the VPN connection, you'll be able to see a screen which lets you add lets you add the VPN connection. This is a quick guide to it, and the reason I bring it up is mainly because there are a couple of prerequisites that you need before you're able to set up the gateway. The two key ones are that you need to be on the new admin experience, which I think is more common now as a knowledge, but more importantly, you need at least 5,000 robot units allocated to the particular tenant, such that you're able to create the VPN gateway. The VPN gateway creation does not consume these 5,000 units. You can still consume these units at the time of VM creation within the tenant, but we need to check like a quick threshold that you possess at least those 5,000 robot units. Once you're able to set up the gateway, it takes whatever time it takes, between 30 to 45 minutes from the Azure side to set up the gateway, post which what you need to do is start adding connections. The way to add connections is to navigate back within your orchestrator and create the virtual machine in order to connect the machine to this VPN tunnel. All you do is basically follow the steps that Manoj walked us through on adding the machine pool, And once you do that, you will get an option at the last screen of adding a VPN connection as well. For the purposes of today's demo, I've gone ahead and created a demo to show that at this point. So as you'll notice, when at the last screen, when you're able to add a maintenance window, you can also play with this toggle to enable a VPN integration. Note that you can only create this at the time of pool creation. So make sure that you have set up the gateway before you are setting up the machine pool, and that you click on enable gateway, enable VPN integration at the time of pool creation itself. Once you do that, you can enter in the address space for the VNets, which is essentially all the addresses that the VMs in this pool will take and will connect to the gateway. And that basically helps you create the VPN connect. The entire pool gets connected to the gateway that you've just set up. We are also, this is a preview feature. In fact, we are releasing in preview next week. You can also add a domain join automatically at this step of pool creation, where you can play with this again at the time of creation. And since this is already created, this is disabled for me. But if you click this, you get two options at this point to connect an on-prem directory or an Azure AD domain services directory, and you can enter in your credentials and domain to automatically connect the virtual machine to the domain. At this point, we don't support AAD to connect automatically because of additional security reasons, but you can do that absolutely by RDPing into the machine and doing it later, which I'll show in the next few minutes. So with that, you can essentially connect your entire pool, which is all machines in the pool, to the VPN gateway. I can show you on how the confirmation looks when you follow the required steps. If I go to the add and manage pools, you can see here the VPN status is connected. And hence you can now connect this machine with the VPN gateway of your on-prem information and databases, and you can access resources that are behind your firewall through this VPN connection. You should follow all steps on our documentation. We have tried to be as exhaustive as needed. We have tried to be more visual as well on which IP ranges and VNets mean where, how are they actually connected into the infrastructure. So please refer this, follow the steps. This should be straightforward, but in case there is anything else, we are happy to respond to support tickets as well. So that's about creating the VPN gateway and giving you a way to access to your on-prem information and on-prem setup. And like I said, this works both for ACR VMs and serverless. In the few minutes that I have, maybe 2 to 3 more minutes, I'm going to run quickly to also show you on RDPing into the machine, customizing it, and then creating a snapshot such that you're able to build the subsequent machines on top of the custom image that you've built. For the purposes of today's demo, I'm going to show you what is done already. So you can follow a few steps with me and for some that you need to take in advance. In the machine pool that you've set up, if you navigate onto the machine dashboard page, you can see I have a few machines running, and I have enabled remote desktop on a couple of machines. Manoj showed you earlier on how to do that. It's from the 3 buttons here. As you do that and click on one of these, you can see that the access IP that is added here is the IP of the machine that you're accessing from. And what you need to refer is the public IP address of the virtual machine that you want to access. All you need to do is copy this to the clipboard and go to any of your remote desktop, so any of the tools that will let you remote desktop into a VM. As you do that, you can enter the credentials that you had with when you set up the machine, the admin credentials, and you will be into the VM already. This is one of the VMs that I've already remote desktoped into. A few things I want to call out here. You will notice that if I navigate onto the accounts and confirm on whether I am domain joined in any way, you will notice I'm domain joined to my UiPath credentials. Like any other VM you would set up, you can go ahead and add your AD, any other directories that you want to add and domain join the VM itself, after which you can get access to all the licenses for the applications that you have. For today's demo, I've gone ahead and actually created a VM with all of Office 365 and Slack and Zoom downloaded. All you do is follow the simple steps of going to Chrome, downloading, installing the softwares as needed, customizing the virtual machine, and preparing it to the way you need. As we also saw, you can domain join it further. Once you're able to prepare the machine to how you need it, all you need is return back to the cloud portal, make sure that you stop the machine, and you also disable accept jobs. As you do that, you will be able to capture the custom image of what you just created. This capture image button that you see here will be enabled once the machine is stopped. All of the information is added into our documentation, so you should refer those, and they should be absolutely sufficient. It's a fairly straightforward step to follow. But as you do that, you'll be able to capture image, save that image into our cloud portal. And the beauty is that for all subsequent VMs that you may need on top of into this pool, all you need is go to edit pool. And in the step where you've selected, where you had selected a standard VM, you can toggle onto the next radio button, which is customized VM. And in the dropdowns, you will see all the custom images that you've captured and added here. I created one yesterday where I added 365, domain joined the VM, and that's the image I captured. I was able to capture it, save it into our cloud portal, and I could see it into the dropdown automatically. Once you click on update here, this pool is now updated with this new image. So all the subsequent VMs that you spin up on top of this image will have the custom image into the machine. Obviously, for manual pools, the existing machines will still have the same older images, so you can choose to recycle them or keep them separate. In the visualization, you can confirm which VM has what image as well. So you can toggle with the available columns you want. You'll notice that one of the columns I've added here is the base image. And you'll see I have different kinds of base images for all the 4 VMs I'm running. So the first one is a custom image, which I created. The other one is supported on Windows 10. One is a Windows Server image, and another is another custom image. So you can get all the customizations you want and make sure that you're able to capture the image and spin up the subsequent machines on top of that image. Before I end, I just want to navigate to the settings of Orchestrator to confirm and show you where you can see all these images. So if you navigate onto the settings tab of within your Orchestrator, you will see the last option as Cloud Robot Images, and you can see all the images that you have here. At this point, we have a capacity, we allow about 10 images per tenant that you can add, and you can see all of them here and use them as per what you've managed and created. I know we are almost up on time. I do want to save some time for Q&A. So I would pause now, and thank you so much everyone for joining. We hope you try our Cloud Robots and give us more feedback and usage.
Thank you, Anvita. I think we can move into the Q&A now. I've seen some questions in the chat as well. But first, let us tell you about the upcoming sessions from DevDive series. I will share the link for the upcoming sessions, and you will get actually the link to the landing page with the whole series. Remember, this is a 1-year-long series, DevDives, taking you through the whole UiPath platform. It started in January this year, so on this page you will actually manage to see all the sessions that happened until now, and also the upcoming session next month in August. Also on Monday we will publish the September session. So generally we publish 1-2 months in advance, so you will have a very good outlook of what's coming. But also I strongly encourage you to also look at what has passed, because there is a lot of valuable content in there. You also, I will ask Sofia or Roxana to share the links for the next session in the chat. So on August 31 is the next session, supercharged testing and RPA with coded automation. And then Monday onwards, you'll be able to also register for the September session, Mastering AI-Powered Document Understanding.
And Christina, that's where people can go to download this session in a few days as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I think our colleagues already shared in the chat the links.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, it was a question in the chat. That's why I asked. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have like the link for download, and these links will also be featured on the event page along with the recorded material tomorrow. So you will find the link to download the Automation Cloud Robot Setup Guide. Okay, let's see now whether we have any questions. So we're moving into...
There was actually one question that we couldn't answer, and Vita, you might be able to help us about the address space.
Yep, I think I'm reading it from Sydney. Is that the one you're referring?
That's
The address
correct.
space is the gateway VNet. The address space is the gateway VNet, the same as the address space for the VM pool. I will need more information. Basically, okay. So the address space that you add onto the VM pool, if that's what you're referring to, will be the addresses that will get allocated to the VMs in the pool there that will connect to the VPN tunnel. We require certain configuration or certain type of IP addresses that we allow. I don't fully follow your question though, so if you want to unmute, I'm happy to learn more and answer better. I can also share some documentation that you can refer and learn more. Either is fine.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so basically the reason I'm asking is because we have followed your documentation based to the steps, but then it seems like we're missing some information because we have tried to set up the VPN and we have been successful to set up the VPN, but then to the point where we have to create an address space for the VM pool, it states that we need to reserve an address space. Yes. So we have done that. But the problem is that when we provide the address space, UiPath throws an error that says that the address space is already partially in use or fully in use. And none of the addresses that we have implemented are in use.
Are you sure that the VPN tunnel that you created was not a part of the same VNet? Because we don't allow overlaps. And you'd also need to check if there are addresses overlapping with any of your on-prem address spaces.
Yeah, I checked with my with our network team. None of the IP addresses that we associated are overlapping.
Okay, that we can investigate more on that. Do you mind raising a quick support ticket? I feel like we'd love to learn more because, yeah, we don't allow overlaps, that's for sure. But if you're confirming there aren't overlaps, I'd love to learn better about the situation and then answer better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So we have already created a few ticket supports for that, and also Akanksha is also part of our kind of like team members who assist with these issues. So, but yeah, sure, I could share this, but how would you like me to share those?
I'm reachable on my first name dot last name at uipath.com. Hit me up. I would love to engage and help you further.
Perfect.
And I think you're following the right processes. I hope you're in good hands already, but I'm happy to jump in if needed.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I will DM you the address, Sydney.
Thank you.
So you can pick it up and
Thanks, Christina.
yeah. Let's see what other questions, and please remind that at this time you can simply unmute yourselves and ask the questions instead of the chat. I see we have some more comments from Vikram. Vikram, do you want to unmute? Please.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my question is around the custom image, what you just stored. And that custom image right now is using your credential for the domain or linking into the AD, right? So when you store that custom image, is it going to be able to use or leverage the new ID which comes in the future, which is using that custom image? Or it's going to be every time it's going to use your account, for example, in order to link?
Yeah. So as a best practice, we recommend that when you're creating a custom image, you try to unjoin the VM from the domain that you had, just for this purpose, that if you want to have multiple users access the custom image, you should be able to do that. In this case that I showed, the custom image that I built was also domain joined. So all the VMs on top will have my credentials only, but that can be changed at the time of capturing the image, where you can unjoin the machine and then create the custom snapshot.
Okay, thank you, Amvita, for the answer. Vikram, was that answer sufficient for you?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Any other questions? I know we're like a bit over the edge with the time, but I think if there are questions, we can spend 5 more minutes for the Q&A. You also have, again, the link to the deep dive series in the chat now. So let's see what other questions might be from today's session, whether for Amvita, Manoj, or Jov.
I think Dennis had one about some of the top business cases. We did have a few slides, Dennis, honestly, to talk through. We kind of ran over time. Christina, do you mind going up a couple of slides? Maybe we can show that very quickly. And because session will be available later. You can refer the slides. A
Let
couple
me just
more.
know where. Couple
Just one more. Yeah, this one. The next. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, this one. So Dennis, the idea was that we wanted to show and give a sense of the use cases for automation cloud robots, virtual machines, as well as serverless. For virtual machines, the way we think about it is you should think of these as with feature parity on an unattended setup. So if you're thinking of automating any of your back office, finance, HR operations, IT processes, ACR VMs can absolutely do the job for you with no additional requirement of infrastructure. If you go to the next slide, Christina, you will see that there are some of the use cases we have laid out for serverless, which primarily run some of the browser automations, API-based automations, or processes that need high volume. And we, in the next slide further, Christina, we've given like a few examples on some most used processes maybe where serverless bots are deployed. And this one gives a quick example of a supply chain process around managing purchasing processes and the different steps involved in each of that, which uses serverless cloud robots. So yeah, I hope you get to refer those. Hope it gives you a good sense of what all use cases can both VMs and serverless as cloud robots use. But yeah, I like your last argument that it's almost a no-brainer that you should use those for all the top RP cases. But yeah, we hope you get a chance to use them.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Any last question from our audience today? No one? Okay, then I think we can call it a day here. Thank you for all the positive feedback in the chat. I think it's very important for our colleagues, both Manoj, which is India-based, and our colleagues from Bellevue. It was rather very early or very late for them. So anyway, not within working hours. Thank you very much for your efforts today, Anvitajov and Manoj. And thank you all for joining us. It was a really good session, and we certainly hope to see you in August for our next session. Remember, August 31st, you have the link to the series in the chat. Roxana posted it. And Monday onwards, you will also be able to register for the September session. Thank you all, and see you in the next sessions. Bye-bye.